Hi, this is Kamera again. We're on day number 242. We're on Ezekiel 1 through 4, a whole new book. We've gone through a lot of books. We're on the 26th book in the Bible, Ezekiel. Ezekiel is a man of God. He is a priest, and God is calling him to be a prophet, to go and give his messages. And the first chapter is kind of like, whoa, seriously, Ezekiel, what he sees though. He gives this description of something like from out of this world, this being that has wings, that has different faces, like a lion, an ox, it has a human face, it has wheels, it has like an extraterrestrial being. That's what it looks like. But this is a holy being. Above that holy being, he sees a throne, and there's a being in this throne. So the entire chapter basically describes what Ezekiel sees, and it is this being. And we find out, actually what happens is Ezekiel falls on his face. He's like faints, and this being on the throne, which we take is to be God, talks to Ezekiel and tells Ezekiel what he needs him to do. He wants him to go and be his voice, basically, to speak to the children of Israel. Anyone he needs him to speak to. He has this scroll, and this scroll, he unravels this scroll, and he sees that in that scroll is things like of doom, of just different things that are not good, disastrous things that are about to happen. And he places this scroll on Ezekiel's mouth. Ezekiel said it tastes pretty sweet, tastes like honey. But yeah, it had funeral songs on it. It had words of sorrow. But to Ezekiel's mouth, it was as sweet as honey. And he tells Ezekiel, he says, the words that I give to you, I want you to let them sink deep into your heart. And I want you to think about what I tell you before you give these words to my people. And this is the thing. They're going to be stubborn. They're going to be hard-hearted. They're not going to want to hear this stuff. They're not going to. He says, don't be rebellious like them. But you are going to be hard. I'm going to make you tough. I'm going to make you tough. But say those things I want you to say. And so he tells Ezekiel that he's going to have to be accountable. Meaning this, if I tell you to speak death and you don't speak death, which is going to allow them to turn their ways, if they don't turn from their evil ways, then they're going to die. You don't tell them that and they die, then you are accountable for that. You're responsible for their death. If you speak what I tell you to speak, they're going to die if they don't turn from their wicked ways. You speak and they don't listen, then you are not responsible for their doom. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on here. I love the fact that we have another one of God's prophets in the house, and we see the heart of God in this thing. So the things that he tells Ezekiel to do, I'm telling you, it makes you rethink crazy. It just does. He tells Ezekiel to go to his home. He tells himself to shut himself in his home. Told him to take these ropes. God's going to tie him up, and he's going to cause his tongue to be stuck to the roof of his mouth. And he is not going to speak until God loosen his tongue. Because God wanted him to stay where he was and not to say a word. Because once he tells God tells him, he's going to just go and tell. God wasn't ready for him to tell. He said, when I'm ready for you to talk, then I want you to go out there and say, this is what God says. You see what he said? He's going to make Ezekiel tough, strong, and stubborn as well. But it seems to be stubborn and tough to do the will of God, not against God. Not against God. He told him, don't be rebellious like them. And so God tells him another time, he tells him to go to this location. One thing I need to point out to you guys is when this happened. When did Ezekiel come on the scene? It says that Ezekiel came on the scene when he was like about 30 years old. And when God approached him, he was already in Babylon. He was already in Babylon. And this was like, I believe, a few years after Jehoiakim had been taken into captivity. And we know that Jerusalem was still standing at this point. But now he's in Babylon. And so now get this. God tells Ezekiel to go. This is nothing God told him to do. I'm telling you, God, this makes you rethink crazy. He tells Ezekiel to go to this location, and he tells him to draw in the ground this map of the city. He has him to like build a wall, and this is supposed to look like a siege, like Jerusalem is under siege. He's supposed to use this iron, and get this part. He tells Ezekiel to lie on his left side for 390 days on his left side. What does that mean? What does that mean, right? 390 days. Each day represents 1 year of him carrying the burden of the sins of Israel. 390 days on the left side. He is not supposed to move. Once that is complete, lie on the right-hand side, your right side, for 40 days. Every day represents a year of carrying the burden of Judah's sin. And he's supposed to let her. Now, God tells him how to prepare for that. He tells him to get these jars, get this bread. He wants him to get these to make barley cake. Now, this is how the barley cake. I'm going to jump to the barley cake. The way he's supposed to bake this barley cake, he's supposed to build this fire in front of everybody. And he's supposed to cook this over human dung, human feces. Yes. Now that part, Ezekiel was like, wait, back up, Lord, back up. I have never defiled my body with anything. And he went down to things he never did to defile his body. Can we work with this dung thing? And then he tells him you can use human dung. So Ezekiel bakes this bread. He collects this water in jars, and then he tells him that he's supposed to ration that supply of food and that supply of water for those 390 plus 40 days. And he's supposed, during this entire time, he's supposed to be focused on that building, that drawing of that siege that he created, that was symbolic to the siege that Israel was going to go through, Jerusalem was going to go through. He's supposed to keep his eye on that siege the entire time, 309 days plus the 40 days. Yes. And he is not supposed to move. God said he was going to tie him so he couldn't move. Isn't that something? That was very serious. Now, this right here should really make you rethink crazy, because God told these prophets to do some stuff that we look at and say, they got to be crazy. You ever see this person on the corner and you be like, oh, they crazy. Or you have that family member. I'm just saying. And Ezekiel's supposed to speak everything that God says to speak. And he's going to be tough enough to do it. And there was another time that God did visit him in that heavenly form. And that's what Ezekiel called it, the glory of God, that being that he saw. But guys, yeah, we're in the book of Ezekiel, another prophet of God. So again, I feel good that we're reading the book of prophets because it shows us the heart of God, how he feels about what's going on, how it bothers him, how he's going to tell us how he wants us to repent, turn from him, trust him, just trust me, just obey me. I just want to bless you. Did you forget how I want to bless you? Let me tell you again how I want to bless you. And I'm giving you another chance, how he just calls out, and how the people just get so distracted with the things of this world. And they totally decide they don't want to listen to God. And God tells Ezekiel, they're not going to listen to you, but I still want you to tell them anyway. Isn't that something? So guys, that's day number 242, Ezekiel chapter 1 through 4. You have a God-filled blessed day.